The sun rose this morning, bringing a new day. What becomes of this day is in the hands of all of us. On this day, as Brian indicated, we begin our work, creating sustainable economies, investing in our people, building strong communities. Yes, we'll face challenges, but we'll not let these become excuses. Instead, our driving message will be, make it happen, and make it happen by working together.
We share an unspoken bond and pride in this place we call home. But living in the most isolated population center on Earth has its problems. Distance and money are at the root of most challenges. But is it time we stop using that broad stroke excuse about the price of paradise? Are the stakes becoming too high?
You've got to solve our problems, and our problems that we have here in Hawaii as it pertains to energy are unique to Hawaii. These are not, generally speaking, these are not problems that people in other locations, in other geographies have to address. And as a result, we're not going to get solutions made for our little market here unless we make them ourselves. Now, that is the potential.
As a Hawaiian today, practicing Malama'aina means I acknowledge that we are facing an energy crisis. I acknowledge that I am part of it by consuming fossil fuel.
It's not a neighbor island versus Oahu. By keeping the money in the state, we're able to reinvest billions of dollars that we export for fuel is turned around and reinvested in our quality of life.
With all of the various ways that we're looking at the alternative energies, like how are they going to decide? I guess the funding is going to be a major thing. So how do they decide which one is going to be the one?
Everybody loves renewable energy until it shows up next door. If oil goes anywhere well over $100, we'll be happy with anything we've got in renewable because it'll be a hedge against those oil prices. But right now we have no hedge. What happened to us in the summer of '08, when a $150 barrel of oil rolled through town, is that we got rolled. And we had nothing we could do about it.
It's weird. You hear about these things, but it's sort of out of context because we don't think about it all the time. And the only time we seem to think about stuff like that is when we have some kind of crisis.
That's so true. Our daily lives consume us, and it often takes a crisis to get our attention. You've probably heard it before. Hawaii is the most oil-dependent state in the country. Other states may rely almost exclusively on another energy source, like coal. But coal is cheap. In today's world, our dependency on oil has become a serious financial drain and security risk. Maybe the price we pay for Hawaii's dependency on an expensive energy source like oil is giving up too much control over our economic future and compromising our quality of life. Tonight, you'll hear the term peak oil. Some scientists say we've reached it. Others say it's in the very near future. Either way, the price of oil is on its way up. We don't just pay for oil when we fill up our gas tank or pay our electric bill. The cost of producing energy is built into what we pay for all goods and services, especially in Hawaii. 80% of the goods we consume are shipped here. And don't forget, the biggest driver of our economy is tourism. We've seen what happens when airlines have to cover increases in what they pay for jet fuel. Many visitors can't afford to travel here. And every year, billions of dollars leave our local state economy to purchase oil from foreign countries, usually in unstable parts of the world. Imagine if we could reinvest that money right here in Hawaii. But there is good news. Tonight we'll hear from the people who are behind the change and will drive our transition away from oil. Many of them believe Hawaii will become an energy model envied by the rest of the world. We'll take you to a local military base that is an inspiration and clean energy model for civilian communities everywhere. I'm Terry Okita. Please stay with us. We'll be right back with Hawaii, the state of clean energy.
Depending on who you ask, we're either past, at, or just about ready to cross peak oil. And what peak oil is a situation where we will never pump more oil than we have pumped out of the earth. Now, the fact of the matter is, once we recognize that we've passed that, the reality is prices will just keep going up.
Alternative energy, renewable energy, clean energy. Are they all the same thing? Alternative energy sources are usable energy that can replace traditional forms of energy, such as fossil fuels and nuclear energy. Renewable energy comes from renewable natural resources, such as the wind, sunlight, rain, geothermal heat and tides, as well as biofuels and biomass. Clean energy is simply an energy created by clean, harmless, and non-polluting methods. We're very fortunate here in Hawaii because we're surrounded by sources of renewable energy.
We actually have it within our grasp to fundamentally alter the way we do it, to really cut oil imports, not just by 40%, but potentially all the way to 100%, at least in electricity, and be a very different place than any other place. As a people, we will be better off financially when we switch to renewable energy. We may be the only place in the United States where that's true. So we have the perfect platform. When we get to the other end and can prove that you can live a modern lifestyle without a lot of carbon, then the rest of the world can look at us and go, how do they make that work? We're on oil, which is an expensive form of fossil fuel. So that's the bad news. The good news is almost any form of renewable energy works okay against oil. And if it's not today, it will within 5 or 10 years for sure.
I think one of the biggest barriers has been the regulatory barrier, where in your traditional regulatory model, you're always looking at the least cost. And one of the first pieces of legislation that I worked on was looking at life cycle costing. Renewable projects are more expensive on the front end and tend to have no fuel cost and even have lower operating costs, where in your traditional fossil fuel plant, it's cheaper to build, but you have the uncertainty of future prices and your operating costs.
Hawaii has the potential to become a global player in clean tech. We are uniquely situated to become the most energy independent state in our union. The wind, the sun, which is, probably we have some of the most prime real estate for sun anywhere in the United States. Really, because of the fact we have no seasonality. And we're doing a good job of capturing that in solar hot water and also photovoltaic and concentrating solar power, but we need to do more.
Wind farms and solar are our two best options today. So we should do all the solar we can, and we should build wind farms where we can. And someone will say, well, wind farms may not be that valuable 20 years from now. Okay, but for now, in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years, wind farms are great. So let's embrace them.
When you ask me what has changed, well, a great deal has changed. We have native advisors. We have assessed the geothermal markets. There's maybe 150 geothermal producers. Let's find those with the technology that can match to our resource.
If you look at the growing sectors throughout the nation, it's agriculture and energy. And in Hawaii, we import most of our food and we import most of our fuels. So we need to turn that around by reducing our imports and growing our own economy, recirculating, taking that money that we no longer export out of the state for reinvestment in Hawaii. So we're perfectly situated because we have expensive fuel prices that we can turn around to our benefit.
Representative Morita has chaired the Energy and Environmental Protection Committee for 12 years. When she talks about reinvesting in Hawaii with the money that currently leaves our economy to pay for imported oil, she's talking about a very substantial opportunity in the billions annually. In 2008, our portfolio of energy resources looked like this: 85% oil, 6% coal, 5% renewables, 4% all other. In 2008, approximately $8 billion left our state economy to pay for imported oil. Representative Morita provided this study, which is conservative because it's based on oil prices from 2006, which were considerably lower. In just 9 years, if we can increase our renewable energy use to 20% of our total portfolio and decrease oil proportionately, we would retain $6.3 billion in Hawaii's local economy. $6.3 billion. Imagine being able to work towards growing that number every year until we diversify our energy resources to the point where oil no longer dominates our options. Right here in Hawaii, we have an example of what it takes to make these kinds of strides. We'll visit the Marine base in Kaneohe, where they've implemented new sources of energy and encouraged new behaviors with the goal of being energy self-sufficient by 2015. They're well on their way. Please stay with us. We'll be back with more from Hawaii, the state of clean energy.
I have never changed my beliefs and my values. 25 years ago, so I opposed geothermal. We had no other choice, and it was the right thing to do. But as a Hawaiian, I continue to practice Aloha Aina. And today, Aloha Aina means that we look at our carbon footprint as Hawaiians. We look at our dependency, our driving trucks that consume fossil fuel. And I must go out and look for renewable energy resources for myself, my community, my island on the Big Island. I have to reassess my previous opinion against geothermal. I see now that there is good technology, clean technology, technology that re-injects back into the heart of Tutupele what was taken out. But we have to begin by acknowledging that we're part of the problem, and we've got to turn around our own consumptive practices.
We keep looking to the new generation or to the next generation to somehow resolve the issues that we're creating. I mean, it isn't a generational thing. It is about taking individual responsibility of just the way you live.
The military puts great emphasis on personal accountability. The former commanding officer of Marine Corps Base Hawaii was asked many times about the speed and efficiency of his aggressive plan. He attacked from several fronts and is convinced the base will achieve its self-sufficiency goals by 2015. Colonel Rice retired from the Marine Corps in January, but he left quite an impression and an excellent model for us to follow. And with expected military directness, he tells the story better than anyone else.
When I took command, I said, okay, I found out what our electric bill was. It was $24 million the first year, and it scared me because it's about a third of our budget. So I told my staff, I said, tell me, when can we be energy self-sufficient? Because some of these projects had been kind of below the radar, and they kind of gritted their teeth and hissed and said, well, maybe 2016, 2018. I said, how about 2015? And we're pretty sure now that we're going to make that goal. We want to be energy self-sufficient via renewable energy by 2015. And there's two sides to that. There's the production of the energy and there's the conservation. A lot of photovoltaics is going to bring up the sun-based energy, and we're going to build a 30 megawatt biofuel power plant. It's actually a multi-fuel power plant, but the goal and the drive is to have it operated by biofuels, and biofuels that are locally grown.
The base is also a beta site for testing wave energy buoys, and the Colonel's goal is to have an entire fleet of gasoline-free vehicles. They're currently testing electric, hybrid, and hydrogen vehicles. There's an E85 fueling station in use now, and a B20 station for tactical vehicles that use biofuel and diesel mixed together. The biofuel is waste cooking oil from the mess hall. And for the first time, the men and women who live in base housing are responsible for their electric bills. It's quite an incentive system based on a buffer zone of average consumption. If they go over, they pay the difference. If they're under the average, they get a refund.
When we first started doing that this year, we drove energy use in our housing areas down 13% in the first year. So lots of little nickel and dime things, but they're really starting to add up. And then we'll really get aggressive in 13 and 14 with the photovoltaic production and the biofuel power plant. The thing with alternative energy and renewable energy, there's no silver bullet. So you really have to throw a lot of choices against the wall and see how they all fit. All my fellow base commanders in the Marine Corps are doing some really great things on all these fronts. I think personally DOD and the Marine Corps especially is leading the way with the entire nation. We're on board and we understand the importance of it. We understand how it's actually tied to national security. I kind of joke to people and say I don't have to run for office, so I can make some of the rules as we're going along. But the President, the Secretary of the Navy, and the Commandant of the Marine Corps all have very aggressive goals for weaning us from foreign oil into reducing our energy consumption, making us more aware of how closely related our consumption of fossil fuels is to our own security. It's doing the right thing by the federal taxpayers, it's doing the right thing by the environment, and it's a national security issue as well.
Colonel Rice is an aviator, and he told us his interest in the environment began with many flights over Southern California. He always looked down at the densely populated area and wondered what people did with all their stuff. One day he went home and put CFL bulbs in all the lamps around the house. That's how it started for him, and now he's been hired as a city director for a town in Utah. No doubt they're hopeful he can implement a program similar to the one he started here in Hawaii. When we come back, we'll tell you more about our series of shows and how we'll keep you updated on the relevant and timely developments related to Hawaii's energy future. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
When I first came to School of Architecture, I was really just thinking about designing beautiful buildings, right? And it became so much more greater than that. Just within the first year, I realized there's such greater purpose. So I think I'm just really lucky to be a part of a program, part of a field that will be able to collaborate with others and really take part in this big, large goal of creating environments that are just much more livable and enjoyable places to be.
Deirdre is just one of the UH students we'll be speaking with in our next show. Architecture used to be focused on just design. Today, studying architecture is almost like having a double major. Students are required to know a lot about the environment, sustainability, technology, and energy efficiency. The UH School of Architecture recently received national recognition for some high-profile work, including a design that's part of a home being built for a New Orleans project. For our next show in April, we'll look at the job opportunities that come with this new green economy we all hear about. And in June, we'll learn the latest in clean transportation, from bicycles to hybrids, e-cars and hydrogen vehicles, energy-efficient transportation. In August, we'll have a progress report on residential and commercial energy. How much do we use? Find out about new net zero homes and home renovations. In October, it's Made in Hawaii. What advances have we made with the smart grid, hydrogen, biofuels, all clean energy products made right here? And in December, we'll look at food and fuel, the new industry, ag energy, and bioenergy. What can we grow and what are we growing? What's on the market for biofuels? Through the partnership between the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum and Hawaii News Now, we're pleased to bring you this series of programs, Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. For more information on this show and upcoming events, go to our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. You know, it's encouraging to see so much progress being made in so many different areas. As Colonel Rice said, there is no silver bullet. All of these different ideas and resources will lead us to Hawaii's clean energy future. We have an extraordinary opportunity before us. I'm Terry Okita. For all of us at Hawaii News Now, aloha, and thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you again soon.
It's almost more than we can believe, and more than we've been allowed to believe in Hawaii in a long time. The reality is, in energy, of all of them, we could actually lead the world. You know, the idea that we would spend our energy dollar here is a hugely powerful, fundamental change. There's a great expression that I think has been attributed to Lieutenant Pro Arthur Ashe. Work where you are, use what you have, begin now.
As you know, most of our oil is imported, and most of our oil is imported from unstable places in the world. And we need a Navy and a Marine Corps to keep the sea lines of communication open so that there's free shipping. And frankly, the less tankers that we have to bring to the United States from unstable parts of the world, the better off we'll be.
Keep to our belief system of Aloha Aina, but be flexible enough, for goodness sakes, to inform ourselves and work with others for solutions for our broader community.
It almost seems too long. With technology kind of where it is now, you would think there'd be a faster way of getting this thing on the grid. I mean, it's natural stuff that we have around us, right? Why can't we get this thing working a little faster?
I think it's really important, especially when you look at what's happening in the Middle East right now. We only have a small window of opportunity, and if we wait too long, we'll become immobilized by high prices.
Looking back, some of the lessons learned is that we need to have brave and bold leadership in policy that will implement new policy and stick to their guns on those policies, because that, in my mind, is one of the biggest reasons why we never got there with the original Hawai'i Clean Energy Plan.
People are looking for leadership in this area. Again, these are really complex issues that we are building the foundation for the future. And so they are looking for leadership. They want us to make the hard decisions in moving forward. And unfortunately, it does involve cost. I think most people understand that these investments have to be made to stabilize future costs. As we develop Hawaii's clean energy economy, one of the things that we have to be mindful of is that we don't want to leave anybody behind.
If we share well among ourselves, we will be okay. In fact, we'll be the envy of the world. We need to share. And sharing is two-way, and it's respectful, and it's done with great heart between people. And we have to find that way too. It's not just take. Share is a gift. And we need to encourage that gift and then honor that gift.